We should be ready to go here today. Hold on. Shit. Welcome, everybody. This is Stacey Harris. I instantly had a technical problem as soon as we started. Welcome, everybody, to part 2 of our work from home series, Military Spouse Jobs, the Spouse Nation program. My name is Stacey Harris. I am the Outreach Program Manager for Military Spouse Jobs. We are very excited to introduce some awesome speakers today. We have Devin Drake from Boldly, Elizabeth O'Brien from the Freedom Learning Group, Erica McManus from Instant Teams, and my fabulous partner from Military Spouse Jobs, Melinda Rao, and she will be emceeing the event today. We are happy to have you all. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. This event will be recorded for future opportunity to watch. We will have tables after. Melinda will go into all of that with you, but I'd like to share a few minutes of, we are very happy to be able to present some work from home options for our military spouses. It's a great opportunity for us. It's been a great opportunity for me to be able to work from home these last 3 years. And so we're very excited to share today these great organizations that are going to share information with you. And then after, we will be having some networking opportunities. And I will be sitting at the table, the Spouse Nation table, and be talking with you about that great program and all the things that we have available to keep you employment ready until you are ready for employment. And if you logged on right when I first started and I swore immediately because I had a technical difficulty, welcome to remote work from home. And I apologize for my foul language. So sorry. I am going to turn it over to Melinda to take it from here and get us started today. So welcome, everybody. Enjoy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me click me so I'm full screen. Okay, there we go. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. And we are so excited that you're able to join us today. And I hope that you joined us because you found out about this information through our social media channels with Military Spouse Jobs and realized that this is another one in the series that we have been running about working from home and how to do that successfully. We have been very fortunate to have the information and contributions from some great people who have been in the remote work field for quite some time. And they have shared their experience, their expertise, their knowledge about how to do this successfully and how to transition from, let's say, a hiatus to a work from home environment. So this is how things are going to go today. Today we have a keynote speaker, Devin Drake from Boldly, is going to be sharing some information with us. And then Erica McManus with Instant Teams and Liz O'Brien from Freedom Learning Group are going to talk with how their organizations prepare and hire remote work employees and how it all works. You know, the how-tos. We all want to know the how-tos about how to actually do this. And then we're going to move to what are called networking tables. Now, this is interesting because we're doing this on a virtual platform, but you will actually take a virtual seat at one of the virtual networking tables. They're all labeled so you'll know who you're sitting with and who you're going to be able to talk with. And the organizations that are joining us today have actually provided representatives that will be able to answer your questions and talk with you about working from home. And while you're at that networking table, you'll actually be able to see and talk with those representatives. So please have some questions prepared, have some comments, this is your chance to talk to subject matter experts. We're also excited to have some representatives from Military Spouse Jobs who are also experts in remote work. You'll have a work from home placement subject matter expert, Melanie Grantham, who will talk with you about how she, who is our Recruiter Connect specialist for working from home opportunities, how she helps prepare those candidates for placement with one of the many corporations that she works with that have job openings available. So she is going to be able to answer your questions. Then Amy Rossi, who is the Director of Training for Military Spouse Jobs, is going to talk with you about the training that Military Spouse Jobs offers for military spouses to prepare them for that employment. And so we're excited to be able to provide that information as well. You'll see on the right-hand side of your screen, there is a chat option so that you can live chat on this platform, provide comments. But there's also right below that a question option. So if you have questions, you can ask a question in that box. Stacey Harris is going to be monitoring those so that she will catch those questions and those comments right away, and we can feed those to our speakers so that they can provide that information in real world time. So thank you again. We have quite a few people that have logged in. We're excited to have you logged in. We're excited to provide this information for you. And I hope that we can set you on the road to success and do something that we're all privileged to be able to do working from home. Now, finally, before I introduce Devin, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Melinda Rao, and I have been with Military Spouse Jobs for about 3 years, which I came upon an anniversary not too long ago, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I've been doing this for a lot longer than I expected. I am a military spouse, and I have jumped around through different employment opportunities. I was one of those that took a hiatus from employment for about 11 years and then had to navigate the re-entry back into the workforce. And for the last 3 years, I've been very privileged to work from home for a while in Hawaii and now in Virginia for this wonderful organization. So I'm excited that I can be that voice of experience. So I think at this point, we want to go ahead and I want to introduce Devin with me while I navigate all of this. So if Devin can turn on her camera, and hopefully, okay, maybe it won't start until 1:15. Technology, don't you just love technology? I love technology. So,
do you need some backup here while we wait for Devin?
Yeah. The way the sessions are set up, the session won't start until 1:15. So I think.
All right, Erica's letting us know speakers might have to go out and come back in on the backstage link. So they're looking at that. Bear with us, everybody. This Air Meets platform is a gift for us to have to use something like this, but we are novices and we're practicing with all of this. But I'll tell you something, once you get the hang of all of this, remote work and working from home is much easier for everybody. So this is a great platform. This is our second event, I guess technically third event. So we are still working out the kinks. But I will share a little bit about Spouse Nation while we have this opportunity, since my computers all went crazy right when we started and probably threw me for a loop here. So Spouse Nation is a program that we revamped about 2 years ago, but really got it up and running on a great website for that we just think is very easy to use. We love the options on it. It is a spot for you to come, research, meet up with other spouses, ask questions. We have a great candid career option there as well, which will share all kinds of videos about different job opportunities that are out there for you. We also have the links for the skills build, which you can go get your certifications for different things. That's going to lead you right from Spouse Nation to our Military Spouse Jobs organization and get you set up into skills build. If you're ready to work, there's a link right there as well. You can click on that and get registered with one of our career specialists who are going to work with you, going through your resume, getting you ready for job interviews, and just helping you work the job board so that we can get you to work if you're ready to find that. But the whole purpose of Spouse Nation is we found that spouses, we're always putting our lives on hold. And that means we're always putting maybe work opportunities on hold as well. But it's very, very important to make sure that when you are ready to go back to work, you've set yourself up for success. And that is making sure you're staying within your industry, you're keeping your certifications current, your licenses current. It's not always about going back to school and getting another degree, but it's about keeping yourself prepared, whether it's through the correct type of volunteering to get on your resume. So all of those things, we work with you through all of that with the Spouse Nation program. So we hope that you all check that out. It's spousenation.org. We'll put that in the chat box. And then follow us on our Facebook page. All right, I see Devin has popped in. I will jump out now that I've filled some dead air for you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy, and thank you, Melinda, for working that out. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Devin Drake, and I oversee the recruitment department at Boldly, and I help military spouses who are looking for jobs navigate remote work and remote work opportunities. So I'm excited to share with you today some of the knowledge that I have. I'm going to tell you, I'll just go ahead and let you know up front what I'm going to share. I'm going to tell you how I achieved success working from home as a military spouse, and share with you the actions that you need to take to move your own career forward. So before we get started, though, I want to ask you just a question just to think about on your own. And that is, think about the reason why you want to work remote. That's the first thing you want to do when it comes to looking at a remote job. And your list may be very simple. It may just be one thing, or it may be pretty complex with 2 or 3 things. It may be as simple as you just want a job that can transfer for you wherever your spouse may be stationed in the military. Or it may be way more complex than that. You may have more serious family reasons and a real need to work from home. Let's be real, though, that the perks for working from home are very endless. No one can judge how many snacks you eat, how many times you go to the bathroom, what you're wearing. But sometimes it's stressful. Sometimes we have to decide between yoga pants or sweatpants, you know, so I'm just joking. While there are many perks to working from home, you have to remember one key thing, and that is that it is still work. And somebody said it perfectly the other day in a panel I was on, and they said working from home isn't a job, it's a location. And in fact, as a remote worker, I work harder than I have ever worked before working in an actual physical office. But we'll get back to that in just a little bit, because here's what I really want to talk to you about today. I want to show you 3 specific strategies to increase your chances of landing a remote position. And I'm going to start by giving you the short version of my own personal story and how I ended up where I am today working in remote work. So I like to say that I was born into the Army and married into the Marine Corps. Basically, what that means is I've been a military dependent my entire life. My dad was active duty. He was an officer and retired at 28 years. My husband is enlisted. He's in the Marine Corps, and he will retire next year after being in 20 years. I've also spent over a decade of my career working on base, volunteering on base in various capacities. And in 2017, when my family PCS'd from Hawaii to San Diego, my government employer would not keep me on. They paid me out all my leave and completely severed ties. And to be quite honest, I was tired. I was tired of giving everything to a company that just saw me as a number. It didn't matter that my commanding officer, who was my supervisor at the time, and the highest ranking person on the base thought that I was amazing. It didn't matter that the director went and fought for me at headquarters. It didn't matter that I had over 300 hours of sick leave and over 250 hours of vacation because I devoted so much time to my career. And at that point, I was done. I was a little broken, to be honest. And so I decided that my next career was going to be remote. Easy day, right? It wasn't that easy. That's just the beginning. It was actually really hard. It wasn't an easy road for me. I spent months looking and applying, and after 6 months, I landed my first remote career, and it was a complete flop. They had hired several military spouses to launch a new initiative, and they failed. Financially, they couldn't afford to pay anyone. I worked for them for about 10 months. One by one, people started leaving, and if I was smart, I probably would have left too. But I wasn't ready to give up on that remote career. I wanted it so bad. And I worked for 6 months, actually, without getting a paycheck. And to this day, I haven't gotten a paycheck for my work there, but I'm not mad about it. And the reason for that is that opportunity brought me to Boldly, where I am now. And in October of 2018, I started working with Boldly, and I found a company that feels like home, a place where I'm not just a number, a place that values me, and a place where I'm not only able to take my job with me when we PCS. In fact, I took it with me from San Diego, because we're now in North Carolina, in 2020. But not only was I able to take it with me, at a time when I normally would have had to quit my job, I was promoted. And so my point is that the road to remote work is different for everyone, just as it is with any career. Some are going to slide right in and it's going to be easy day for them, and others are going to get knocked down. And in fact, for a period of time, I actually had my own theme song, was Tub Thumping. I don't know if you know that song. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Yeah, so I would just sing that in my head over and over again. And that brought me to where I am now. So now in the past few years, remote work has changed a bit, specifically in this last year. And the view on military spouse and their employment has changed a bit too. There are remote work options everywhere now. There's more than ever before. And companies are beginning to embrace military spouses in a way that they didn't 15 years ago. Do we still have ways to go? Yes, we do. But we've come a long way than 15, 20 years ago. But what this also means, there is greater competition, and there are more opportunities, but there are more people looking for remote work. And you aren't just competing with the local talent, you're competing at a much larger scale, statewide, if not nationwide. So let's talk about the 3 strategies really quick that you can use for starting your journey to landing remote work. My first strategy is going to be to know your strengths and to build on them. And remember that, again, remote work is not a job. It is a job. It's not a location. And when I heard that, it was Tuesday in a panel that somebody had said it. And I'm like, that's perfect. That sums up exactly what I'm always trying to say, but I didn't know how to say it. If you don't have the skills in the job, maybe you need to figure out how to get those skills to get that job. Because it is a job. It's not a job in of itself. It's the location. So you're looking for the job that you want. I can't just go out there and become a doctor or a teacher or anything like that because I want that job. But I hear people say all the time, I want to work. Well, what do you want to do? I want to work remote, right? Well, that's not the job. That's a location. What is it that you want to do? What are you good at? What experiences do you have? Are you just starting out, or are you seasoned? Are you willing to pivot your career? Do you want to pivot your career? Are you willing to take a step back, maybe at a lower position, to work your way up to where you want to be? Maybe not. These are all questions that you have to answer for yourself. But the main thing is that you want to really know what your skills are when it comes to remote work, because you're going to have to sell yourself. And get ready to tailor every resume that you send out. And when I say tailor all your resumes, I don't just mean little tweaks here and there. You want it really tailored for that company, and remember to keep it simple. I think a lot of times we try to want to stand out, and so we try to overcomplicate it. But I can tell you right now, from somebody who reviews thousands of resumes every single month, that the overcomplicated resumes tend to be really difficult to review. And there have been times when I have had to Google certain terminology to figure out what a person was talking about. So you can imagine an employer who is seeing hundreds, if not thousands, of resumes. If they get a lot of people coming across and they have a lot of terms that they don't know, they may not take the time to Google that. So keeping it very simple and focused on the details that match the job that you're applying for. Many military spouses have a lot of skills that they're not even aware of, and a lot of strengths already, just by nature of being a military spouse. You are dependable and self-starters. Military spouses have this capability to take nothing and turn it into something. They can do things with no budget. They're always going to be there. They always show up. They're not used to having the world handed to them. They're used to working for things. And in the workplace, that really shows up when you come to work every single day and you're dedicated to your employer. And I think that's largely why military spouses are also becoming more and more important part of the workforce, because employers are now recognizing that we have all of these soft skills that are very difficult to replicate, if not teach, in the civilian world in that capacity. Okay, so the first thing is knowing your strengths, getting that resume, and tailoring it to the job that you send out, right? And before I move on to the second one, I just want to mention that I think it is more important for you to really focus on quality of the resume that you send out versus quantity. If you've been the type of person that's like, oh, I'm going to shoot out 20 resumes this week, 20 the next week, 20 the next week, maybe you need to slow that down and really focus on the ones that you're sending out so that you can tailor them a little bit more, because it's going to be the difference in you standing out versus you getting looked over. That little extra time will make a big difference. Now, the second thing is knowing what remote employers are looking for, right? So this is the key thing. What do remote employers want? The first thing that I would recommend is to make sure that your resume highlights any technology skills you have. Remote work is all tech-based. We are working on computers, so everything that we're doing is technology. We're using applications and software. Do you have any skills in the tech world? And if not, what skills can you pick up quickly? Now, when I talk about technology and software, I'm not talking like you've got to be an IT person, right? I don't know how to do all that IT stuff. But what I'm talking about is communication tools and project management tools. Do you utilize Microsoft Office or Google Suite? Maybe you know how to use both. If you don't know how to use both, I recommend learning how to use both. Specifically, Google Suite, so many companies are using that right now because it's a great way, especially if they're remote, it's a great way for them to work on projects at the same exact time. When I talk about communication tools, I mean things like Slack, Zoom, Google Chats, anything where somebody can talk back and forth, message back and forth. If none of those sound familiar to you, then I would go back and write them down, Slack, Zoom, Google Chat, and go create a free account and figure out how to use them so that you can put that on your resume. Project management tools would be things like Trello, Asana, Monday.com, where you can work on projects together as a team. All of these things have free accounts, and you can learn how to utilize them before you put in a resume to work remote. So you may not know how to work remote, and you may have never used these before, but you can say that you have familiarity with them if you go online and create an account and play around with it and figure it out. Some of the top skills that employers are looking for in the remote space include time management, self-starters, being excellent at communication, and military spouses are really good at that. They really shine at that. And I think you can highlight that a little bit more in your resume to make you stand out even more. Specifically in the communication piece, when it comes to remote work, that is how we get anything done. We have to be fully transparent in all of our communications. And it can be really easy for us to misunderstand something if we're not really clear. We're not there to, unless we're meeting in a video capacity like this, we're not there to pick up on little nuances or body language, things like that. You can't see the eye roll, right? You can't hear the tone of voice. So one of the things that I like to do is just to double check everything that I say. Did you get this? For one, because sometimes resumes don't make it through or applications don't make it through. In fact, we just hired a military spouse who pinged me on Facebook because she had applied but hadn't heard back from us. And guess what? We respond to everybody, 100% of people, whether they make it through the process or not. Well, when she reached out, I looked up on the system and saw we had been trying to get in contact with her, and all of our messages had been going to her spam account. So making sure that you over communicate is really important in a remote space, and employers are looking for people who know how to communicate and they know how to be reliable and manage their time well. The third piece here is to know the remote players. Just in any other workspace, there are certain players, and they're a little bit different than they may be in a physical location. Remote players, where are they hanging out? They're hanging out on LinkedIn. Because we are remote, we are in technology spaces, we're in social media spaces, and because LinkedIn is the #1 networking site for professionals, that is where we are. If you do not have a LinkedIn, I highly encourage you to get one. You don't have to be on there all of the time. You don't have to dedicate tons and tons of time on it. By going out there and putting yourself out there and putting your resume on there and networking with other people, I think the only thing that you have to lose is maybe you don't get a job that way. But at the end of the day, that's not that big of a risk. It's more of a risk not to have it and maybe risk out on a potential opportunity. So I highly encourage you to get your LinkedIn set up and start building your network and connecting with other people on there. I can tell you that my job right now that I would not have without LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, one of my connections connected me to someone else. That person saw I was a military spouse, messaged me, told me I might want to apply for X job. I applied for that job and got that job, and that's the one that I didn't do so great on, that didn't pay me, is that one. But it led me then to going back and looking again and being connected to Boldly. So all of these little train of events happened, whereas if I had never had a LinkedIn, I would not be in this job right now. So I think LinkedIn is a great way for you to network and connect with other people in the professional space. The other thing that when it comes to knowing the remote players is knowing where to research for these jobs. Like, where are these jobs? And unfortunately, I don't just have one easy place for you to go to. And I wish I did. There are so many different places that you can go to look for remote jobs. Now, there are top places you can go, just as there are with looking for jobs in a military space. You can go to VetJobs, you can go to MESEP and things like that. In the remote space, in general, we tend to have some that stand out among the others, and that is FlexJobs, Remote.co, Virtual Vocations. Those three tend to be the top three. FlexJobs does require you do have to pay for that one, but the other two you do not. VirtForce is specifically for military spouses, so that's a good one to go to as well. But this is where virtual jobs are, and I can tell you as a recruiter that companies spend a lot of money posting their jobs. And because they spend so much, they cannot afford to post their job everywhere. So unfortunately, that means as a job seeker that you really need to do your research and find out where these jobs are and search these other locations, because you never know which one of them has your dream job. So finally, I'll wrap this up and I'll just leave you with this, and that is to find your why. I began with asking you why you wanted to work from home, and I want to end with that because that is really the most important piece. Remote work is not for everyone. And as I mentioned earlier, I work harder than ever before. There are no interruptions from coworkers wanting to share about their weekend. There's no breaks where I'm wasting time on Facebook or TikTok. There's this quote that goes something like, work is really interfering with my enjoyment of working from home. So people think that they want to work from home until they realize that you're still working. It's really hard. And I get more work done working part-time from home than I ever did working full-time in an office. So you have to be really good at structuring your time and separating your work from your home life. It looks like I'm in an office, but I'm in my house. My rabbit cage is right over there. My family's on the other side of those walls. It's really hard sometimes to structure your time if to separate your time if you're not structuring it well. And vice versa, when dinner time comes around and I'm in there with my family, if an email pings, it's really hard for me not to come back to the office. So you have to be good at separating those two. And then sometimes people get lonely. If you're overly extroverted and you need to be around people and you really want to work from home, you're going to need to find some other way, friends to meet for coffee or a fitness class to go to or some other place to get energized by meeting with other people, because otherwise it's just you. But on the positive side, you get to create your own schedule and you have more flexibility and you get to have your animals around and make time to run to the grocery store, and you can take a break and do laundry. You get to have more time back in your day, and that's one of the really big valuable pieces of it, along with the fact that you have a career you can take with you wherever your service member goes. So thank you, Melinda. I'll turn that back to you.
Thank you, Devin. I guess I could call it an aha moment when you made the statement that it's not a job, it's a location. I'm like, wow. I knew that, but I guess I'd never really codified it quite like that. So thank you for that little tidbit. And I think that that's going to be the main thing that I take away from this. Now, we did get some comments in the chat box, especially from someone who is looking to embark upon a remote career, and she's not working currently. So you're in the right place. People are going to provide that information for you. So thank you so much, Devin. That's great information. Now, Devin will be joining us during our networking session, and she will be at a table along with one of her coworkers at the other Boldly table. So again, if we've got questions, this is a great opportunity for you to ask those questions. So thank you, Devin. I think I need to invite my other speakers to the stage. Let me do that really quick. Again, technology. I'm learning this. Yes, yes. I'm going to invite her to the stage, and I think I have to remove you from the stage, Devin, and I'll do that here in a second.
Okay.
Get Liz here on the stage. Hi, Erica. Awesome. Erica's here. Thank you for that little comment. I appreciate that very much.
I did a quick Google, right? That's what we do. We're resourceful.
Yes, that's exactly what we are. So let me see if I can. There we go. And I'm going to remove Devin from the stage. Thank you, Devin. And we'll see you at networking. Okay. Now we have Elizabeth and Erica. Okay, so Elizabeth and Erica are joining us. Erica McManus is the COO and co-founder of Instant Teams, and we're excited to have her expertise today. And Liz O'Brien is the CEO of Freedom Learning Group, which is a provider of educational courseware, content, and services provider. So we're excited to hear these ladies talk about what their organizations do and how their organizations actually hire, vet, and support remote work for employees. I'm going to start with Erica and have Erica talk about how Instant Teams goes through that process.
Yes, happy to. Thank you, Melinda. I will start with a very short. I loved how Devin framed her own experience, right? I think that's an important part of how all of us are here. Is I'm also a military spouse. We've moved 12 times in 19 years. We're approaching that transition phase as a military family, and remote work has been life-changing, 100%. And I fell into it a decade ago, and I think that's kind of a part of the story, right? You either fell into it or it was just kind of this pipe dream. And now to have an event like this where there is remote work of every shape, size, industry, background, level as a community, and most all of those have come from the community. And that's one of my favorite parts is the community saw the need and has started to build these businesses to bring remote work. And I just love it. It's my favorite part of everything that is happening in the community right now. But Instant Teams, that's what we're here to talk about. So we started Instant Teams about 4.5 years ago. I have a co-founder. Her name is Liza Rodewald. She's a software engineer by trade. She is the brains behind the operation over here at Instant Teams. And we came from very different backgrounds. She was a software engineer before she was a spouse. She was building remote teams or seeing the need for remote teams in the tech space, right? People needing quick access to really great talent. I was a government employee for the first 10 years off and on as a spouse, right? DOD, NAF employee. Everybody says that's the way to go. Hiring preference. That's not always true. It can be a very hard road to navigate to become a NAF employee and amongst moves. And we ended up out in California. It was our 10th move. I had just my second baby, and I was okay, I'm 30 and I'm done. I'm never gonna have a job. I'm never gonna have a career. It was that very woe is me moment that I think you have to get to. And then an opportunity dropped in my lap, and I knew nothing about business. I had never been a part of a startup, knew nothing about marketing, community management, nothing. But what do spouses do? Sure, I'll try that. Yeah, let's give it a go. And that's been the last 10 years of my life that have led me up to real-time learning, real-time insight, understanding business, learning the technology space, learning the startup world and investment and just all of these things to now create more remote work for other military spouses. And so that's what our business model does. We've built a business model that brings customer support teams to small to medium enterprise level companies. And we build those teams with military spouses. So we're right at under 400 employees at Instant Teams right now, and 96% are still military spouses. So we live and breathe that model because we know that's the type of work that really works well within the community. We always joke that before being a digital nomad was super cool and trendy, spouses created that. We are the original digital nomads. We needed it and we understood it probably before we even really knew what we needed, but that mobility and the ability to connect and network remotely. And if anything, this past year has just pushed us into the future of work before I think we were even ready for it. But those types of remote roles can kind of be your entry point. They can be your coming back into the workforce point. They can be a phase of your opportunity. But we really just start with a profile. We need to know who you are. We need to know the type of work. Everything that Devin said was 100% dead on with help us help you. And I think we even said that when we did our last webinar, is anybody who's coming, whether it's to Freedom Learning Group or Boldly or Instant Teams, we need to know what you can do so we can help you and we can make that perfect match for you and we can put you where you can thrive and belong. And sometimes that's the discovery process. And if you ever ask that, don't panic. Like, we're not challenging you. We just need to know so we can help. So when you first hit the doors at Instant Teams, it's creating your profile, giving us that background. We do ask a couple questions about what does remote work mean for you, because we've learned over the years, remote work can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And there's different types of remote work. A lot of our jobs are full-time. So you are working 8 to 5. Again, it's not a location, it's a job. You're in an office, probably in your house, and you're working. And that may not be what everybody needs. That might not be the right type of remote work for you, and that's fine. We've got other types of modes and methods right here on this call today, which I think is really cool. Most of ours are W-2 benefits. We have a very engaged daily Slack community where no matter what team you're on, we've got posts going and opportunities to network. But going through all of those stages is knowing yourself and being able to get yourself into a job where you know you're going to thrive and that meets your skill sets and really meets the balance of what you're looking for. Whoop, I think you're muted.
Yes, I am. I was muted. Thank you very much. No, that's great. I do have a quick question, and I'm going to ask Liz the same question when she gets up to talk about a Freedom Learning Group. But you're working for an employer. You're getting ready to transition PCS, which is something military spouses do all the time. You don't want to leave that position. So how do you sell to your employer the option of transitioning that position to a remote position?
Yeah, do you want me to walk through how that works at Instant Teams, or if you're not at Instant Teams? Because that will be two very different answers. Or both. I could do both really quickly.
Both. Let's do both.
Okay. So at Instant Teams, and we have built this model around the military spouse community. So we get that and we understand that. And really that's just a function of a notification. We have like a process or an SOP for that. You're getting ready to PCS. If you can work through your PCS, great. Some people love to do that. Some people love being able to take the computer on the go. Maybe they work part-time for a week or two. Maybe they do need the full, a 10-day off to transition. Whatever that looks like, there's just a process to let us know that, because then we need to make sure the scheduling is covered. We do train and hire extra people. So if that case is happening, it doesn't ever affect what the teams are doing, right? There's somebody there, kind of like you call in somebody or kind of like a substitute so that the work is still being done. So it's really just a notification, and we will work through what that looks like. It's kind of each individual case is different, right? If you're working for a more traditional corporation and they're very anti-transition or taking something remotely, I have seen a lot of really great spouses write some, excuse my language, badass letters to get themselves where they want to go. And it's all about how you present it. And the lens that I think that really makes a difference is what you can do for the company more than it's about you. Yes, it's your move. Yes, you need it. But how do you write that letter to position, I will continue to do this. This is a benefit to you, right? At the end of the day, you're working for that company because you're delivering something to them. So I think it's an important thing. I've seen some of those letters where it's all about the need and the stress and the right. And that's not what an employer needs to hear. They need to hear what you're going to bring to them and why it's going to work for you for them during a transition. And I've seen that work lots of times.
Okay, great. I do have a question in the question box for Erica. And the question is, military spouses come in all shapes, sizes, genders, relationships, etc. How do you see the spouse community addressing and assisting these spouses that don't fit that majority mold and helping those folks connect to 100% remote jobs? And I think I know the answer, but Erica, what would you suggest?
Yeah, I'd be interested to know like what the majority mold means, right? Like there's a couple different ways that you can go with that. And that's something that we have spent a lot of time, even with other partners on this call, there's 1.1 million active duty spouses. They're from a scope of here to here, right?
Yes.
Age, demographics, skill sets. And so there is no one mold that's going to work for everybody. And I think the value of how other businesses or organizations have developed their type of remote work or their doors is, again, knowing where you can go and having those doors open. A way that we've done that specifically at Instant Teams is creating partnerships with a lot of nonprofits that serve, the smaller sub niches of the military spouse community, right? Just opening a door, really just making sure that it's known that your doors are open allows that to happen organically versus very forced ways of saying, yes, we are here, 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 and here. It's just be inclusive. And I think a lot of people overcomplicate that sometimes. I mean, it's not an easy thing to address, but just make sure that your doors are open and treat people fairly and allow that to come in. I think that's the best I can answer it without knowing what the definition of the majority is in this certain situation. So if somebody wants to give me more definitions, I'm happy.
Great. Okay, I think we're gonna move to Liz at this point and open it up for Liz to provide some information for us. And let me move Liz to the stage or to the big screen. So welcome, Liz O'Brien. We're so excited to have you as the CEO of Freedom Learning Group. I didn't know anything about you, and I apologize. I had to do some research. I Googled you and the organization that you are the CEO of, and I'm very excited to find out how your organization supports remote work and gets military spouses plugged into the positions that you have available. So talk with us and tell us what you do.
Yep, absolutely. You referenced it. I'm CEO of Freedom Learning Group. We are an organization that is military family founded. Nathan and Stacy are our co-founders, and they were really inspired by the time that they spent in Germany and recognized they had an opportunity to actually build and create an organization that was meant to serve and put military spouses and transitioning service members into remote work. So much like Instant Teams, we have been remote since day one. And so we've been built on the backbone of technology. We've been built around creating, and this is the key, I think, and why we have such high retention rates, is that we bring flexible employment to our military spouses, to our veterans, and to folks that are entering our workforce. And that flexibility has proven to be very key, particularly in light of the pandemic that so many of us have been navigating. I want to be really clear. We get lots of requests like, I want a remote job. Okay, you have to be specific. We are ultimately, for many years, I spent a lot of time at Hiring Our Heroes at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, doing workforce development for military spouses. Very important to recognize you have to be specific in your ask. And a lot of the qualities that I was hiring for in other organizations, I'm still hiring for here today, but very important for folks to be entrepreneurial in spirit, to be driven, to be motivated. We're very fortunate in that we've worked hard to create an environment where we're very inclusive and understand that we have challenges going on at home. But people need to recognize in other organizations, remote work doesn't necessarily mean that your child's sitting on your lap. There are some jobs that are out there that in remote environments require you to have a completely quiet home office, childcare, et cetera. We certainly noticed in the height of the pandemic that our remote workers who had always been remote were experiencing significant levels of stress because they now had children home with them. They had no options for safe, affordable, accessible childcare. They had spouses home, and we had to empower our people managers and say, listen, roll with it, flex on their needs, flex on their time, make yourself available. Let's make this an easier situation to navigate. And in our case, if someone has to have a child sitting on their lap, we're going to work through it and make it the best possible environment in some challenging situations. If people want to come work for us, what do? We create content and curriculum for publishers, for universities, and for corporate America. So we have great clients and partners like Wiley Publishers, where we're building textbooks and assessments. We have great corporate partners like Google and LinkedIn and Coursera, where we're building short courses that a lot of Americans are taking to put themselves back to work or reskill and upskill. And so what you want to do is head over to our careers page at freedomlearninggroup.com. We are posting new jobs every day, right? We go out and win projects and we put them up there. So one project really could have 6, 7, 8 opportunities under it. So don't disqualify yourself just because you don't fit what the title says, right? We have project managers, we have subject matter experts, but the key to our success, and I know Erica's working on this as well over at Instant Teams, is we've built in that last mile training. So if you are a subject matter expert and you're a hot welder, or you're a crane operator, or you're a chemist, right? You have all of this great knowledge and experience. We bring you in and we're putting you through our last mile training. So we're helping you to upskill and get that last piece so you can go to work. So you become an instructional designer, have a background, and now understand how to take your knowledge as a crane operator and be able to help build that very specific curriculum, which you are so uniquely qualified to do, and I could never do, but you needed that last piece of training. And then if you stay with us and remain part of our great workforce, we'll look at you 6 months, 7 months from now and put you through project management. So opportunities. So we're looking to continually upskill and grow the path for your career. Is my hope that everybody stays with Freedom Learning Group? Absolutely. Is this realistic? Is this the time of my dad who stayed with his company for 30, 35 years? No. But when you leave us or you advance with us, you're going to continue that career progression. But ultimately, we're creating that opportunity for socioeconomic mobility wherever you are. And I have to say, let's reframe how we're thinking too about remote work, right? This isn't even 2 years ago where we were knocking on doors and begging people to think about remote work and stomping our feet to big and small employers saying, create those. We are there, right? Perhaps the silver lining of the pandemic is that so many companies and organizations and small businesses had to move to remote work. So now is the time to apply for those jobs. So many places in America have not gone back to work, right? So apply for those jobs. Many of them are going to be remote. And this ties into the question you asked, Erica. You can then make the case, hey, it was remote. You're going back to the office. I've already done a great job. But wrap in those metrics too. I can tell you there's nothing that speaks to me more as a CEO than being able to be fiscally responsible. It costs me a lot more money to go out and hire to replace somebody than it costs me to allow them to remain in a remote position. So think about those metrics as well as you're navigating that piece, but you have to advocate for yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That information is very helpful. And a common theme that I am hearing from everybody so far today is you really have to understand what your goals are and who you are, what you're looking for. You have to be specific and you have to know what you're looking for. And I think that's important for us. I think a lot of us want a job. We want a job because that's what helps us contribute to our family. And our society nowadays almost requires that we be 2-income families in order to support our future financial goals and to be financially responsible. But I think the way you guys are looking at this with remote work is you're building that progression piece. So you're not only wanting to place people in the jobs that they're wanting to do, but you want to help them continue to progress. And I think that's important for all of us to remember is this is not just about placement. This is about progression. I think that military spouses, yes, we want a job, but we also want an income stream that we can maintain throughout our career. So I think that's important for all of us to think about. Now, I did have a question. I just have to find it on my notes. So what kind of technology do people have to be familiar with in order to work with Freedom Learning Group? Or are you going to teach them what they need to know?
Yeah, so it's interesting. It depends on clients. But, Erica, if you haven't been in the workforce in a while, I certainly suggest heading over to Instant Teams and leveraging some of their reentry programs that they offer as well to get up to speed, because we know technology, even basic G Suite changes almost, it feels like on a monthly basis. But for us, we tend to operate on the platforms of our clients. So Wiley has a very specific platform we have to operate in. Google has a specific platform we had to operate in. So we put folks, after we've identified the right fit, we'll put them through that training and they're compensated for it. It's considered part of the project. But because we really run the gamut on the clients that we're serving, we're responsible for that training and that platform. But it just means you have to come with an open mind and willingness to work and learn.
Okay. Okay. Erica, do you have anything to add to that? The
Yeah,
technology.
digital readiness and remote readiness is a thing. And if you've never heard those terms before, definitely Google them. We do a free digital readiness bootcamp, and it's self-guided. It kind of happens through a part of it as an email sequence. And I mean, it introduces you to tools that maybe you've never heard of. I mean, Devin mentioned, Slack, Trello, like the types of things that you use in a digital space. How quick can you navigate, right? Like when you guys are like, oh, how do we do this? I'm already in the background, like, all right, Google, how do I get there, right? Watch a YouTube video, watch something. You got to be able to kind of navigate, even if you don't know how to do something. And that's a game changer in remote work. How fast can you navigate and learn something new? And it's a teachable skill. When people are like, oh, I just digitally inept, I'll never be able to. It's not true. If there's a will, there's a way, and you can be taught how to find those digital skills. So it's definitely an important step into remote work.
I will tell you that working remote with military spouse jobs has been an eye-opening experience for myself as well, because I'm doing technology pieces and things that I have never done, like building a website from scratch. Never done that before. And the tools are out there. I went and watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos to teach myself how to do this and figured it out and played with it and figured it out. Learning this platform has also been a learning experience. Again, I Googled it. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos on how to use these tools, and I am learning. And I'm an old dog. I've been around for a long time, and I'm learning all of these new things. So I want to encourage our participants out there that maybe feel like they are behind the curve. You're never behind the curve. If you have the will, there are people out there that will provide the tools to help you get to where you want to go. Military spouse jobs, Instant Teams Academy. Can you talk a little bit about what Instant Teams Academy teaches our military spouses, Erica?
Yeah, so we have 4 different levels of, they're all remote specific and remote centric training. Again, like layering after kind of that free digital readiness bootcamp, it's those different layers, and it's an opportunity for, we've talked to a lot of spouses who might have 3 PhDs and 30 years in the workforce, but they're like, I don't know how to be a remote leader. Like, what are the communication styles? What's asynchronous over synchronous, right? How do you even build in, like, leadership might be an 8, but how do you add in that remote layer? So there's a lot of cool different, it's 4 different levels of opportunity, and some of them have SHRM certifications to them. So they're recognized, by kind of the HR and national HR entities. And it's remote work is not going away. If anything, we've been forced into it, and it's only going to continue to become an opportunity. So there's a lot of different ways out there. We offer what we really believe in strongly. You can Google, somebody just put LinkedIn Learning. There's a lot of great coursework from LinkedIn Learning. Utilize the stuff in the community. I know you guys have a lot of great programming through some of your partners for remote-centric training. So find what works for you. This community is rich and robust with resources, and there's no reason really for nobody to be digital or remote ready at this point. You just got to kind of find and figure out what that looks like for you.
Okay. And Liz, I'm going to ask you the same question. What kind of training do you provide to help with that digital readiness?
Yep, absolutely. So when we hire external SMEs, they go through a curriculum that prepares them to be able to operate within Freedom Learning Group and the platforms that we're operating on. And parts of that are a self-paced course. Other parts of it are a cohort. And then it progresses from there. So we really work to build the success in once you're within the confines of our organization. But I also want to say there are so many, we should all be thinking about two paths to economic mobility, right? leveraging the small businesses that exist. I think over and over again, small businesses as a solution get overlooked. We have an opportunity. We don't have a lot of red tape. We can ramp more quickly. And that's not just for the folks that are here today. That's for small businesses across America, right? 98% of our business in America is small business. So consider finding those small businesses wherever you are to include remote opportunities. But then big business right now is also creating some unbelievable solutions, right? You can leverage the opportunity for cohorts to become a Salesforce administrator. You can leverage programs that Amazon has for AWS. You can go to Microsoft and go through their Microsoft Systems Academy for military spouses. There are a lot of companies that are footing the bill for folks to go through their training because they need workers. So really figure out what it is you want to be. And then whether you're leveraging small business or large business, take advantage of the solutions that are out there. And I can tell you, we're not a solution for everybody. Instant Teams, Boldly, we're not the solution for everybody. But if we can't help you, we're going to hand you off to that next great small business, that next great for-profit, nonprofit. There is a great cycle right now out there where big business is working with nonprofit, working with small business, and we're all creating solutions ultimately to put military spouses to work.
Yes, and I would have to agree that yes, the climate right now to support what you would like to do as a remote for remote employment, it is definitely positive. It is definitely moving in that direction. It's exciting to see that this is happening right now. And I'm really hoping, because there are so many people that are moving in that direction, that it will continue to support the goals of people who want to maintain remote employment. So I'm excited that those things will continue to move forward. So we've had some comments in our comment section, not a whole lot, but some great ideas, and I appreciate everybody commenting. We're going to take a couple of minutes here and we're going to get ready to move over to our networking tables. And I just want to orient you to a few of the people who are joining us from these organizations in our networking table, at our networking tables. So with Military Spouse Jobs, we have Amy Rossi, the director of our training department, who is going to be at a Military Spouse Jobs table talking about the training opportunities that we have available for our military spouses. Again, these training opportunities are available at no cost to you, and you can do them on demand or live. So there are a lot of opportunities. She is also going to talk about Skills Build. And I want you to ask her questions about what Skills Build is, because this is another one of those opportunities that helps you fill in those gaps. So let's say, for example, you have had to take a hiatus, or your career has been disrupted because opportunities are not available at a new location. So this is a way for you to continue to maintain relevance and show to a future employer that you are working towards employment and maintaining your skills and increasing your skill set. Also with Military Spouse Jobs, we have Melanie Grantham, who is a Recruiter Connect specialist with Military Spouse Jobs that specifically works in the remote workspace. She works with corporations, specifically Boldly, that hire people remotely. So she would be a great person to ask questions about the process, how to get connected with those positions that are open, what kinds of positions that are open. So she'll be at a Military Spouse Jobs table as well. Then you'll have Stacey Harris and myself, if I can get myself moved over there technology-wise. We'll see if that works. We're going to talk about Spouse Nation and the tools and resources that are available on Spouse Nation. With Instant Teams, there are going to be a variety of people that are going to be moving through the tables. And they have two tables. It's marked with their logo. Krista Clancy, Aaron Stones, and Missy Broadhurst are there to talk with you about Instant Teams and how things work with Instant Teams. Freedom Learning Group is going to provide Melissa Sanderson and Angie Hood, and they'll be on those two tables for Freedom Learning Group. And then with Boldly, we have Devin Drake and Kieran Walser. And I apologize if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Please forgive me. The reason I'm telling you the names of these people is because you will actually be able to see their names when you take a seat at the networking table. So you'll know who's there to support and answer your questions, provide information, and is part of that organization. Okay, Stacy, do you have anything to add?
I was just going to share one thing. The word that kept popping up as I listened to all of our speakers was opportunity. And what's interesting is sometimes we don't recognize the opportunity until we can look back. And that's why hindsight is so valuable. So just my words of wisdom are this: be patient and just keep moving forward. We're going to be frustrated. Here I am at 54 years old, and it took me a long time, but now I learned how to use the mute button, so that's a good thing. But be patient with yourself. There's tremendous amount of opportunities, and there's a lot of people out there working on your behalf to help you find the employment that you want. So be patient, take advantage, and we look forward to seeing you guys at the tables. Thank you.
Okay, be patient with me. We're going to see how this works. So I am going to end our speaking session, and hopefully that will open up the lounge so that people can move to the tables. You should see the table, the lounge area pop up on your screen. Here's fingers crossed, and we'll hope that it works.